he left her standing in the street. Not like it's one thing to have to meet out by the corner,
sure,
but like on a street.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm so tired.
We are proper like old people hungover. Like, we're not like Euphoria teenagers hungover. No. We're 36 and a half years old hungover.
I'm 36 years old and I drank last night like I was 21. And it did not do good for me. So, hi.
We may or may not have done makeovers.
I did such a
like
good
pretty
job.
Princesses.
I did a good job for being as drunk as I was. You're welcome.
You were like, and then with the second top coat, I was like, I'm gonna learn.
I was giving you tips based on my many years of putting on nail polish wrong.
I'm like hot and cold at the same time.
I know, it's horrible.
Hello, everybody. I'm Will.
And I'm Kristen.
And this is So I'm Watching Euphoria, Season 2, Episode 3.
Ruminations, Big and Little Bullies.
This episode was so good.
Yeah.
I don't know where to start. It was a good episode. It was funny.
Mm-hmm.
It was sexy as fuck.
It was pretty
sexy. It was shocking. It was, I genuinely don't even know. We had an entire lifetime lived with teenage Cal, and Derek, his hair was like this. It was so good.
Derek was very cute.
If you know anything about me, I love bad 90s hair.
It really does. It wasn't bad though.
Well, it's because it's come back into fashion, so it's like refreshed a little bit. Yeah. I was so in love with young Derek, or with young Cal and Derek. I was having heart palpitations. And she was hot too. I was all about all of it. Yeah. And they were so naked more than once. Ugh. It was so...
There was some skinny dipping. There was some actual sex.
With socks on.
What? Diabolical.
The dude took off every stitch of clothing except for his socks and then dove in the pool.
Well, are you getting a pap smear after this? Like... are you feeling vulnerable?
It was so unhinged that I was waiting for it to be a plot. Yeah. Like I was like, they're gonna comment on this, and they didn't. I don't really know what to say about it. I do love the grasp that this show has with sexuality and the fluidity of sexuality. Because as we've said several times with Nate, I don't think that these are as simple as, oh, such and such is gay or such and such is. Because, I mean, by all accounts, he enjoyed Marcia. Yeah. More than Derek. Derek was very butthurt about the going down on.
Yeah, because and then he also made some comment where he was like...
Like it came up a second time.
He was like, I don't eat pussy and I won this wrestling match. And I was like, those two things have no connection.
And the InXS, I kind of love InXS.
InXS is great.
It's like what?
It's great. InXS is great.
And I just like, I do feel for Cal. I do find him interesting.
I don't really... In the present day, I don't feel much sympathy for him.
It's not about sympathy. It's... I don't know. I think that the show presents him like there's more going on beneath the surface and in a schemy way. And as evidenced by this episode, I don't think he has a plan.
That's fair. I also don't think there's a plan. That, I think, was probably my favorite scene of the episode, when he was in Fez's house, and Fez and Faye and Ashtray are like, what the fuck are you doing, man? Why are you here? You come to my store and you menace me, and then you come to my house?
I'm going to cut you off for a second. That actually was my favorite part about this episode, other than all the other parts about it, is... so many of our characters actually were together. Yeah. If even just for us, like the scene with all of the girls in the bathroom. Mm-hmm. Is that the first time we've had all of the girls together?
No, they were all in the bathroom for a minute last week too.
All that? Okay.
Yeah. It was like it was shorter.
I felt it.
It was shorter, and there wasn't much more of.
But there was something about, I don't know how to explain how much I love Faye, and we have a new queen on the block, Bobby.
Yeah,
Lexi's
stage manager.
Such a, and it was the kind of thing that it's like I couldn't create that character, but the second she was like realized, I was like, yes,
yeah, that's it.
We've all had that stage manager. But 100%. No, so putting Cal in a scene with not just Fez, but with Fez, with Ashtray and Faye, it gave the plot such momentum.
Well, it also was like one of the first moments where like Fez and Cal both were like, here are all my cards, and then they were like, oh, we don't have the same like we're not playing the same card game.
We're not on the same show.
You're like, we're not playing the same card game. My bad. You're free to leave. Like, it was very, very interesting because Fez was like, literally, what are you doing? And Cal was like, well, it's about Jules. And Fez was like, what about Jules? And he was like, well, I fucked her. And he was like, what? And then he was like,
the three of them were judging Cal so hard.
And then he's like, well, and I'm looking for the tape back. And he was like, you taped it? He was like, I didn't mean to. And he goes, you didn't know you were taping her?
He was like, I didn't know. And he was like, you didn't know you were taping? He's like, well, I mean, I knew that part.
It was like hardcore hilarious. And then Ashtray, MVP of the episode, just bludgeoning.
Which is saying.
Yeah, just like hitting him with the butt of the gun.
What are their names? Their last name?
Fez and Ashtray?
No, Nate and Cal.
Oh, Jacobs.
Those Jacobs boys.
Yeah.
They're good for one thing.
It's getting beat up by drug dealers.
Taking a beating to the face, straight to the moneymaker.
Essentially, because we just kept like talking about, like we just got there, Fez was like, I didn't do anything. I don't know about your tape.
Also, Ashtray called his bluff. Oh my God, that was so good. Where he was like, call the police.
Sure, you call the cops.
Do it right now.
You have nothing to hide. You call.
Because Cal was like, I will. And he's like, right now, I want to see it. It was so good.
And it just was like amazing. Because that's the thing that frustrates me so much about so many shows. And I mean, this show does it too with other stuff, but it's like, it was like character A and character B were like said all the sentences they needed to say, and then we're like, oh, sweet, we don't have any problems. It's
going to depend on where I think Cal goes with this, because I was going to say, seemingly their beef is squashed at the moment, where Fez is like, you and your son, fuck off.
Stay the fuck away.
He was like, leave me alone.
Leave Rue alone.
And
leave Jules alone.
I just sort of love it. It's what the kids like to call big D energy, BDE, that Fezco was throwing down. I just like, I don't know. I loved it so much. We got, what was Rue's sister's name? It's Storm Reed. Gia. We got Gia back. I like Storm Reed a lot, and I think Gia's a valuable character, but she's just a bummer. She bums out my...
She is just a bummer, but to that, I will say that Rue sucks.
Well, because it's a real addiction drama when Gia's around.
Yeah.
Where when Gia's not, it's like a funny...
It's like a farce almost.
Sarcastic fantasy.
Yeah. But like at the end of this episode, Rue is sucking on a fentanyl patch. And I'm like, my dude, that's what almost killed you in season 1.
So what is Rue's plan?
So her plan is to get girls at school to be runners. And basically then if they get caught, there's no jail time because they're underage and they're going to be like good girls, good students.
That's what Jeffrey Maxwell and Ghislaine, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell did.
Really?
They had underage girls recruiting people so that they kept their actual stuff clean, and those girls are now in jail. It's a bummer.
Yeah.
I watched a documentary about it.
Gross.
I may or may not keep that in this episode because I sucked the air right out of But my point is, it's a valid.
No, I know, and that's the thing where like Fez wouldn't even listen to her, and he was like, no, the fuck way, am I doing that?
Well, he was like, nah, and she's like, but you haven't even heard the plan, and she was like, you have to hear me out, and he's like, I didn't like how it started. He's like, I didn't like the first part. I definitely didn't need to hear the rest of it.
So she goes to Lori, who is also awesome, and basically presents it to her, and she's like, yeah, no, sounds great. How about I front you $50K? And she's like, how about less? Which was like the smartest decision she made in this whole thing.
2 of those brain cells are still working. Me thinks Rue is in over her head.
Yeah, so she's got the suitcase
because Lori, as
drugs.
Casually as could be,
that is the appeal of that actress. I'm gonna find her name again.
We liked her in American Gods.
Yeah, she's also in like
She was the morning sister, I think.
Her name is Martha Kelly, and she's also in the first Spider-Man movie, Homecoming. She's just amazing. She's very deadpan, and she just
with the conviction of a middle schooler was just like, oh, if you fuck me up, I'll sell you into slavery.
Yeah, I will have you kidnapped and sold. I'll always
to very sick people.
I'll always get my money back. And it's just like that. So
and Rue heard it. Rue was like,
yeah, she was like, okay. Yeah, then that's just because basically for Rue, her gambit was like, I'm going to try to figure out a way to get my drugs for free. And I was like, for 1 month, you will? And then what's going to happen? So she's going to have to sell at some point.
Okay, so here's the thing. In my limited experience, drug dealing isn't a career, isn't a lifelong.
What?
you kind of get in and get out. It's not the kind of thing that you can like put retirement on. And I think that's Rue's mentality at the moment. And I'm like, ooh, this is short term.
Yeah.
Like there's not longevity in this life path.
No, definitely not.
Yeah. I'm kind of, I care about like Rue. She's making bad decisions right now. Yeah. I love Jules. Although Jules is like, I think Rue hampers Jules.
Okay.
I think she pulls her down. I
think they pull each other down.
Sure.
I don't think they're actually good for each other.
I'm kind of loving
Elliot,
this Jules and Elliot thing.
I really liked all 3 of them hanging out and like doing dares and stuff. That was really fun.
Her interrogating him was so funny. Okay. This episode was so funny in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Like, and also like, haha, funny and like, yikes, funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought it was so funny. And you're right. They're playing what looks like, if next week's preview is any indication, is going to be a ongoing and escalating game of truth or dare.
Yeah.
Having played that version of the game myself, you can get in trouble.
Yeah. It'll get in trouble. Someone will get in trouble.
It will bite you in the ass at some point.
Yeah.
Probably in front of the entire school.
Yeah.
But no, I'm super into it. That seems to be where they're going. Again, I love this. The kids, I'm very positive on the kids, but they do give with one hand and take with the other. Because I was gonna be, I love Elliot's sort of his openness to sexuality. Fucking Lexi is such a good character.
I love Lexi. And Maud Apatow is perfect at it.
So she was a little bit, I think she's leveled up. I think she's evened out. There was a handful of times where I was sort of like, you could taste the nepotism a little bit. Well, not to say that I didn't, I disagreed with anything.
I also think season 1 was so much more about Rue and Jules. And this season, even though there were like vignettes about everybody, this season is so much more about the side characters.
It feels ensemblier, which I like. And I swear to God, I'm going to watch the first season again because I do not remember anything about it. And clearly they're counting us to remember some stuff. Mm-hmm. I like where she's going. What is her play called? Because I was writing...
I don't think we know the name of it yet.
It was called the flyer said definitely not Oklahoma or something like that.
Because the like actual drama club is putting on Oklahoma.
So this is the second.
And they basically are like, are you sick of Oklahoma? Audition for this other play.
And we already mentioned Bobby, her
stage manager.
I cannot wait. Lexi in charge of something, I feel like is going to be, we're going to get into real Lisa Simpson, like.
And like the little like vignette of her like behind the scenes of her own life.
So I didn't know that was a thing that so many people, because I was looking at Twitter, Euphoria Twitter is like lit. I didn't know that was a thing that so many people did.
Just imagine you.
I would imagine being on a TV show of my life.
Yeah.
But like doing cast interviews and like special feat. Like I imagine behind the scenes stuff. And it was so funny pulling Cassie and Rue, because what was Rue's? It was like supporting actress, which, I mean, yes, that's a thing. They're the best supporting actress, but they're not labeled that in the production. I thought it was really funny. I kind of want more of that. I don't know necessarily that there's more to mine with it, but I did.
Yeah, I mean, but they do the little vignettes, like the Rue one, when she's like in the classroom, how to like pretend you're not doing drugs still.
Oh, sure. That one reoccurred.
They keep doing those.
Because actually I missed, well, it was the detective pastiche that I like so much, that, and Lexi was in that one too. So, man, Cassie.
Yeah. I love it.
It's good.
It's so funny. She's so funny. The face work that Sydney Sweeney's doing playing Cassie when Nate just brushes by her and she's like,
so she's hot.
She's so hot.
Sydney Sweeney's hot. And Cassie is sort of like the pretty dumb one. And so I think it's very easy to underestimate or undersell how good apparently she is. Mm-hmm. She was bringing it this episode.
Yeah.
Her gradual descent into madness. During those 4 a.m.
4 a.m. like beauty routine every day. And it just gets like more and more and more Dolly Parton until literally that scene with all the girls in the bathroom and they're like, why do you look like you're auditioning for Oklahoma?
Well,
she's like, in a good way or a bad way?
They're like, of course in a bad way.
Of course it's
but even before that, I was like, she looks like a fucking milkmaid.
Yeah.
And then the Oklahoma conversation happened. Like, she seriously looked like little Bo Peep.
So funny. I mean, she looked hot.
No, she did, but she also took a detour into Maddie.
Yeah.
That was really...
They were wearing the same outfit in different colors.
The fucking pants cinched in the back is what killed me. So, okay, there's a slight elephant in the room for me, and it's that I have said several times that I hate Maddie. First of all, we speak hyperbolically.
Yeah.
I don't actually hate anybody, certainly not fictional characters. I hate some fictional characters.
Yeah.
But my issue with Maddie, what's that quote? It's like a fucking Walt Whitman or like a Hemingway, where it's like, he has all of the... He has none of the vices I admire and all of the virtues I dislike or something.
Yeah.
I feel that way about Maddie. She has this very Gen Z entitled hot bitch thing that I do not fall for. And that's not to say that I don't love hot bitch.
No, of course, but she is not in real life. If I were ranking the people on this show from top to bottom who I would hang out with in real life, she's at the bottom. I would hang out with Ashtray before I hung out with Maddie.
Because a couple people said, and it's like, I understand.
And it's not a failing of Alexa Demi.
No, I don't think she's doing it.
But Maddie is not it for me.
Well, and so my point is, I like, because someone was even like, we had a comment that asked, and they were like, because at this point, Cassie's making worse choices than Maddie is. And I was like, yes, that's true if all things were equal. But the difference for me is I think the show has done so much to actually endear Cassie to us.
Yeah.
Like, I think Cassie is sweet and misguided, where I think Maddie's just a fucking bitch.
And kind of conniving.
Yeah. And I also sort of, like, after that, I made a point where I was like, especially because I don't exactly, like I keep saying, I don't exactly remember all the plots from season 1. So I was like, I'm going to give Maddie a chance. And it was like a decision I made. And frankly, in this episode, I liked her more than I ever have.
She's fine.
But
again, I do feel the need to like reiterate that some people are like, I would die for Maddie, and I'm like, you absolutely would.
There was a montage
of her beating up girls,
of her like whipping girls' asses, and I'm like, I don't think that that's admirable.
Yeah.
That's not something that I'm like impressed by.
Yeah,
and certainly not without giving us like a nougaty center,
sure,
like,
which I don't believe we've gotten to.
I don't remember it if we have. I mean, I remember Nate menacing her, but that's kind of, I mean, all he does.
Menacing Cassie too, fucking choking her. Ugh.
She is going to end up dead in a ditch.
And he said, I love how sick you are. Ugh. Cassie, I agree. I prefer Cassie, but she does need to be making some better decisions. She's not doing it great.
But even just like the I don't know. I did, like I said, it's more of a choice that I made to be like, well, I was like, okay, let me give this character a chance. So we'll see. I'm on decent terms with Maddie.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
At this point.
I'm also anxious to see because she wants to get back together with Nate, which is interesting. And now he is presumably going back to her so he can get the cassette or the disc for his dad. So I'm curious if
So is she just like living at
she's
Minka
like,
Kelly's house? She's always there.
She's sort of like a nanny.
An au pair.
I think, yeah. But I am anxious to see how much Maddie picks up on his ulterior motive.
Well, because I did. So now that I recall, she definitely had that vibe where I feel like she picked up on a lot of his bullshit. I think she just chose to ignore it. And that can be interesting. Like, I really liked what Teen Wolf insinuated about Lydia in season 1 and 2 and 3, where she sort of was like playing dumb.
Yeah.
I think that's an interesting strategy. I'm going to need a little bit more from her for me to feel
sure
positively.
Yeah, I get that.
Towards her.
It's sort of like, I mean, there's stuff on like Buffy and other stuff where it's just like, well, if only we knew how to read like ancient Sumerian. And it's like, well, I do know that.
And Kat is struggling. It's like going on.
Yeah.
And I like it. I am a little worried we're not giving her quite enough. We're not devoting enough time to her.
I agree. I feel like we will.
This was plot on plot on plot. This episode. But yeah, she is struggling. Yeah. And poor Ethan. He's boring.
Yeah, I was like, he's pretty boring.
But I don't think
he's so cute though, and I like him. He was in something else.
He's playing by the rules Kat's given him, and she's not playing by the rules she set. Yeah. And that's where it's unfair, I think. Because it's like, I don't know, man. And I remember being in middle school and high school, and I do remember there was the quintessential good girl that sort of over one summer became a bad bitch. Yeah. And you were like, what happened to you? So, I mean, I know it's a thing, but a lot of these girls really seem to have this like streak.
You gotta.
So I'm trying to think.
It's like when the mom was like, tell me about yourself. And she went fucking nuts.
I couldn't.
You have to, that is what being a bad bitch for a summer is what helps you figure out how to tell people about yourself.
His mom was like, well, that was illuminating.
Amazing.
She was great too. Yeah, so I think we kind of glossed over Rue, but it's also, I mean, it's fun. It's not, it's stressful. But
she also brought the bag of drugs to her NA meeting.
And so that's what I was getting at, is she seems properly on the outs.
Yeah.
With Coleman Domingo.
Yeah. I mean, he's trying super hard to be her sponsor, and she is throwing it away with both hands. So, yeah. It's tough.
We were fated to pretend.
Yeah.
MGMT, play us out. So, let me look.
Oh, also, when Lexi went up to the vice principal and was like, hey, I am writing a play. Can I put it on? And he just was like, sure.
He goes, sure. And she just turns around and walks away. It was the weirdest scene.
I was like, zero follow-up questions.
Zero follow-through.
About what your 17-year-old student is writing in her play. Okay. I guess.
That checks. Yeah, I was like, Jules needs to get out of the suburbs and get back into the city because these kids are going to kill her.
Yeah.
Whew, these kids do not play. So, okay, I think that was certainly a conversation about the episode. Yeah. So I think we'll leave you with that and be back next week.
Bye.